All right, it says we are live and we are going to try this again. Before we go any further, I am going to take care of the very bright sunshine out here. That's a little bit better. Believe it or not, it's actually very rainy outside, but the glare was just enough. We are here to talk today about Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, number 114 from Jim Balent. And here is the cover for that. And as you might surmise from the cover, I'm not going to show much of the interior of this book because as beautiful as it is, I cannot afford the YouTube strikes because there are boobs in the book. And YouTube doesn't like boobs. I don't know why. And if you didn't know there were boobs in the book, then you are probably born since, the 1990s or later and are unaware of Jim Balent's work. Jim Balent was a big name at DC Comics for a long time. He had the longest running series on Catwoman as artist, and it was a beautiful thing to behold. And I've still got some of those trade paperbacks on that one. And I've even got one signed by Jim that I got from a thing called Wizard Magazine back in the day. All you youngsters out there just don't know what you missed in the 90s and the 2000s. But Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose is sort of an episodic soap opera of a comic book. And yes, it's very supernatural based. It's very magic with a CK based. For those who know the difference between that and Bewitched or Sabrina. And it's following up on events that happened in the last two issues here, where Raven Hex, who is the lady on the cover here, the lilac-skinned lady, with the, I don't know, what is that, double M? I'm just guessing. Writing in her diary about the decisions that she made in the last issue. It's a very much of a departure for Jim's style in this book because the pages are almost all whole splash pages. There's not a lot of panels happening in each one as she does this. She's getting dressed, which is, of course, the eye candy for the book, and she's ruminating on whether or not she made the right decision by turning down a proposal of marriage to the Dragon Prince. And that's a departure not just in the fact that every page is a splash page almost, but the tone of the colors is more washed out, which gives it a more of a moody sketchbook kind of look to it, which I think is perfectly appropriate for the tone of what was being addressed here. Because Raven Hex is sort of an anti-hero. She wants to rule the world, and yet at the same time she's Tarot's sister and part of the Coven of the Black Rose. So she's there to fight with her sister, but she has her own agenda. And she didn't want a kingdom handed to her where she can earn one. So what happens here is that she is writing in this diary and writing words, saying things out loud that are in her heart. And she comes to the decision that perhaps she made the wrong choice when she turned him down, and that maybe the better thing for her would have been to accept the marriage proposal. So as she makes that assumption and makes that decision, she receives some tragic news that is directly related to the decision she made last issue. Now, it's not her fault because she wasn't aware that her decision could lead to that particular path, and the Dragon Prince wasn't going to tell her that her decision could lead to that particular path because he probably didn't want that to weigh on her decision or influence it in any way. But it's a very tragic ending there, and we're going to see how that impacts Raven Hex in the future. Also happening at the same time, Raven Hex and Tarot's mother is using a scrying pool to find out who shot Tarot and her husband John a few issues back in an alley. It's very hard to see this because apparently whoever was firing the gun is somebody who doesn't exist. They're very well protected supernaturally, and it's very hard for this very powerful witch to see this person, so she's taking extra steps. And then we're followed up with, and I can show these panels here. This is okay. tarot, and is it okay? Let me make sure. Oh, maybe not okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to fold it back a little bit here. We have Tarot and her husband, the skeleton man, John. They have just finished killing some creature in the woods that they don't know what it is, and just about then Thornwick appears. He's this green-clad sort of a fairy king character, and he says that he knows what the thing is, and they've been fighting them intermittently, but they're starting to pop up with more regularity, and he's proposing an alignment or a treaty between himself and the Witches of the Black Rose so that they can work together to defeat these beasts. And that is what's all going to lead into the March issue, number 115, which simultaneously celebrates the 19th anniversary of Broadsword Comics. It was 19 years ago that Jim Balent parted ways with DC to form his own company. So he was doing the indie comics, do my own comic thing before it was as cool as it is today, and he was doing it without the benefit of Kickstarter or IGG. And to talk about that, we are going to have Jim and Holly Golightly, his partner, on our show next Sunday at 1 p.m. Central Time. So we do hope that you'll come back for that. As the saying goes, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. That's that thing right there. You got it? Okay. I can't tap it for you. You've got to do it yourself. I'm just kind of helping here. Got it? Good. Thank you. Also, as a reminder, Critical Blast is in a financial hardship right now. We are desperately trying to relocate. We need to finish raising $4,000 by the end of February. We are on track to fall short by about $700. So we are definitely encouraging you to check out our publication project. This is not an IGG where we're promising to deliver something in the future. This is something we have done, completed, published. It's ready for purchase at Amazon. We're going to provide the link in the description below. The book is an $8.95 anthology of modern fiction, modern fantasy, called Gods and Services. We think you'll enjoy it. It's got a very kind of a Twilight Zone feel to it. There's a wraparound story that's telling the other stories. If you ever read House of Mystery, where Kane would introduce stories, or the Midnight Philosopher would introduce stories in Midnight Tales for Charlton, it's that kind of thing. There's that overstory with the stories inside of it. And all of them are about ancient gods who haven't had a chance to do their thing for a while. So we think that you'll really like that. Also, we have our TeePublic store. If you're not a reader, but you're a reader, you're watching comic book reviews, you read things. We have a lot of designs in there that we think you like. And of course, if there's just nothing that strikes your fancy to buy right now, the third link is, of course, our tip jar. We didn't want to do a GoFundMe right now, but we do need to raise the money as much as we can in any way we can. So we're at least putting a tip jar out there. We need to finish raising that final $700 by the end of February. And then we have to make the great big push, because then we have to make another $6,000 by the end of March, the 1st of April. So that's going to be a very hairy time, and I will be live streaming frequently and often. Didn't want to put the tin cup out there, but the tin cup is out there, and we have pencils. So whatever you can do to help us out, we appreciate it. Be back here next Sunday for Jim Balent and Holly Golightly, and then the Sunday after that, we are going to have Michael Tierney back on with us. We're going to start doing regular shows with him. He is a comic book retailer in Little Rock, Arkansas. He owns the comic book store in North Little Rock, Arkansas, and Collector's Edition in Little Rock. So he's got 2 stores in the 2 adjoining towns there. He's always got interesting things to talk about. He's got a web comic strip coming up here. So you'll definitely want to tune in and find out from a retailer what's going on in the industry firsthand off the front lines. For Critical Blast, I'm RJ Carter. Thank you all for coming.